Well, why not just put a screw in there? Unbelievable. It lines up perfectly.
If you look, there is quite a bit of play there.
Tie-dye people.
Maybe, yeah. Welcome back to my Porsche 930 mild restoration. If you guys haven't been following along in the previous episodes, we did some suspension work, we did a custom exhaust system, and today we are gonna be tackling the interior, which needs the most amount of work. And yes, the exterior is gonna get some love in this episode too. You can see it is absolutely filthy. It's probably been almost a year since I've washed this thing. We've had some tint work done, so there's like overspray of soap and whatnot, so that is going to get addressed, but let's have a quick peek in here. You can see this interior has not aged particularly well. For a vehicle with 160,000 kilometers or 100,000 miles, it's not in terrible shape, but there are things, you know, like this where the seat is torn, a bunch of the seals around the door are worn, and there are things like this which have been driving me nuts. Someone has essentially put a screw in here to hold this panel in place. And this was probably done in an era where these cars were not worth a ton of money. So somebody was like, oh, maybe the clip is broken, this is kind of hanging down. Well, why not just put a screw in there? I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna do about this, but I do wanna figure something out because this certainly triggers me a lot. And moving inside, I think let's just get started on the seats. These seats are actually quite comfortable. I love the bolstering on them. They do suit this car well. However, they are a leather, and I find in the summertime when I drive this vehicle, and this being a non-AC car, non-working AC, I tend to get terrible back sweat on these. Out comes the factory seat here. I think it's heavy for, 1987. It's certainly not a light seat, but the really neat thing is the way these seats are bolted in. It uses this backing plate, much like race car spec, and this slides in underneath here. You can see all the provisions for the holes, and then it just gets screwed down like this, which hopefully is going to make our install of our seats a pretty easy job. And here is what I hope to fit into the car. This is a Recaro Sportster GT in cloth. This is the main reason I'm going with these seats, and because I really love the Sportster CS lineup of seats. These are the most comfortable, best aftermarket seats out there that also provide good bolstering, and they look amazing. Now, I've been assured by the internet that these do bolt into here, which is wishful thinking, but let's put this in here and see if that is actually going to happen here. You can see this does have the Recaro sliders that you can buy that come with these seats on them already. So let's see here. Oh, DP, it's looking really good. I just got to make sure that both holes line up, but this could work out here.
They look sick in there too.
Unbelievable. It lines up perfectly. Okay, so the rear did have provisions for 2 bolts. That is not going to happen, but one bolt usually holds these on anyway, so yeah. I think I'm going with it. I think it's gonna work out here. Unreal. Now, before we go bolting these seats in, there's a bunch of other work that I wanna do on the interior, so let's take a pause putting these in. You will see what they look like in a moment. However, we're gonna get to stripping more of this interior, and I'll show you why. With the seats out, you can see the carpet in this car is, man, it's just, I don't know what to call it, like a quick puzzle box of stuff. Like, look at this.
Super basic.
This lived here. It just comes out like this, and it's been cut in a bunch of places. I'm assuming this is original. I don't even know. But judging by this, all of the boom mat that's been installed here, this was not done by me. This was done, I think, by the previous owner. Who knows if the carpet is original. The reason he did all this is this car had a big stereo system. If you look, you can still see, it's got JL Audio tweeters here. It has aftermarket wiring everywhere for the speakers. And the reason why I'm removing a bunch of the carpeting right now is I want to get to the shifter linkage that runs all the way from the gearbox up to here. And that is because I am going to be replacing this shifter. This is a Wevo shifter. It is certainly a lot better than stock. The stock unit in this car is super sloppy as it is. The Wevo itself is very nice. However, it also still has a ton of slop. Like, look, this is first gear, and if I let it go, that's still in first gear, guys, right? You can see there's an absolute metric ton of slop. I go to second, same thing. Look at how much slop there is in second, third. It's not great. Part of that is a joint back here that I'll show you in a second, but I do have a replacement that I saw online. It looks super cool and it's supposed to really stiffen this stuff up. One of the weak points of the shifting setup on this car is the shift coupler here. These tend to wear out. These have like these plastic bushings and they wear out, which give you that like sloppy feel. I'm gonna pull this off right now and then we can kind of like look at it and see how bad it was. I did replace the bushings on this already once.
So here it is closer up, and you can see that this actually has a bit of bind to it. It's a little tight, but there isn't really any back and forth play. However, side to side, if you look, there is quite a bit of play there, and that I think would cause some of what we have. This is the numeric racing one that I have here. You can see this is built with ball bearings, really nice design. So there is absolutely no play. It's very, very smooth. So first thing I'm gonna do is actually put this into the car with the Wevo shifter, see how that feels, because I'm just curious to see if this is our problem or if it's in the shifter as well.
I've got the new shift coupler in here, and another problem, or I should say, huge downside to how this whole system is designed is that this kind of, you're on your own to figure out where to put this rod and how to adjust it, to figure out, you can see it's almost like infinite adjustment as to where this goes on here on this this rod to get your alignment for your gears. So it's kind of tricky. It takes a lot of time and effort. I've got this somewhat aligned, I think pretty good. You can see there's first gear, second gear, third and fourth. And because this is a 4-speed, I should mention the movement over to the left actually doesn't need to be, it's almost like straight up for first gear, because reverse is up like that. That is reverse, and you can see let it go. There's not a lot of play there, but going into first here, you can see it still has the play there. And again, like, I don't know, maybe that's in the gearbox or just the design of the gearbox, but like, it's the same thing. There's fourth. Like, look at the wobble there. I can probably see, I can go into first. I don't even need to move it over. You just kind of move it over for yourself, but first can be engaged there, second, third, and fourth. So I don't know. Well, that to me at this point means it is time to remove this Wevo shifter. Let's put that numeric one in and see if we can get this improved. Here is the numeric shifter installed, and it certainly is a lot more precise. It's a shorter throw to the sides. However, it still does have a little bit of play, and I guess that's just a byproduct of, I don't want to call it slop in the gearbox, but it kind of is. My one gripe with it right now is you can see, see this play here? So this back and forth here, if I line it up in the middle, it's really smooth side to side. If I move it all the way forward, it kind of, see how it's got a little bit of bind? You guys can't see it, but it kind of sticks a little bit. So, and you can see here, like, this is the coupler. Look, this is the free play. So this is neutral. This is not in gear. So there's certainly some free play. However, it is way more precise. You can see, like, that's the 4 gears. And when you put it into gear, there still is a little bit of that play, right? So it's not necessarily, I think the Wevo shifter that I had here, it's not necessarily sloppier per se. I just think the throws on this are longer, and them being longer kind of exaggerates that play that it has, where, this one doesn't really have much of it. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like this better. I certainly like that it is kind of a racy look. I don't love how big the shift knob is, but maybe I'll get used to that. I really liked the Wevo one in that sense. And this one kind of had like that OEM Plus look, right? Because this is still the factory housing. This Wevo shifter just bolts into here, into the factory stand here. So I don't know, we'll see. But let's get the seats back in here. Dave did a pretty good cleanup job on everything. Gave the leather a little bit of that, what's that Sonax cleaner, DP?
Oh yeah, the interior cleaner.
Yeah, it kind of has like this nice deep foresty smell. So it's certainly smelling nicer in here. Man, these Recaro Sportster GTs are a match made in 911 heaven. They're awesome, DP.
Yeah, they look great.
You know, there's always a little fuss getting in there, but otherwise it is a true bolt-on experience. And they feel so good already. Oh my goodness. Let's put the steering wheel on here. For those of you wondering, this is a Nardi Torino steering wheel that I had off of, I don't remember what, an old JDM car, Japanese car that we were running, and I went from the typical Momo Prototipo that most people run on this car to this wheel because it's just a little bit bigger. I think this is like 365, I think, maybe 350. Don't quote me on that, but I do like the size of it. I really like the way it fits in this car too. It's kind of like plain Jane. Now, our shifter here. Feels good, guys. Nice and tight. Now, I won't really know how well it works until this car is running because there is some adjustment with gears, but this interior is coming together really nicely now. As you can see here, my original floor mat is pretty messed up. I don't even know what happened here. The die something went wrong, and it is now considered garbage.
It's tie-dye, PT.
Maybe, yeah. I could probably run it and claim that, but I'm probably gonna get rid of it, or I might dye it in the future. I did order up a set of these fresh from Porsche floor mats, and they still have these. So look at this, land of origin Germany, yeah. DP. There you go. So let's peel this off and drop these in. I am into, you know, whatever. That's like 3 layers of carpeting in here at this point. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy, but you know, whatever. The more the better, right? It's a Porsche after all. You gotta have that luxury when you're ripping the turbo. If you guys follow us on Instagram, you will know that I asked about some advice about what to do with this radio. This is a Kenzel unit. It's a German unit. It's actually very sleek. I love the look of it. However, it does not have Bluetooth built into it, which is kind of crazy. It does have iPad support through the USB, but no Bluetooth. So I thought long and hard about replacing it with another head unit. However, one of you suggested this, which is a Bluetooth music adapter. And all you do is wire this in to your existing radio and then plug it in and you should have Bluetooth. I've wired in the little Bluetooth adapter and realized I have a problem. It works, so you can see if I play a podcast, it's working, but you guys might not hear this. It's only coming out of the rear speakers. And I realized that the issue is this deck doesn't have a line in. And I don't know, most decks, I just had to look around, most decks don't have a line in, only the higher end ones have a line in. So what I'm using here is a rear line out, which would be for a subwoofer. So it's kind of just sending the signal in. So it's a bit of a fail. The weird thing too is if I'm playing this and I go to source, it's still, look, the radio's playing, the Bluetooth is playing as well.
Oh, weird.
So it's weird, man. It's weird. It's not a great thing, but this ultimately leaves me to, you know, probably having to replace this deck. Again, I really, really like how it looks, but from a point of, you know, Bluetooth, I guess rear speakers are better than none for the time being, but I will eventually replace this. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. And yes, there is a Porsche deck, but it does cost $800 or something like that. I'm not interested in spending that kind of money on something that I just basically use for Bluetooth application. One of the last things I am going to do here is replace the door seal, which is likely the age of this car. And we should have done this before you clean the interior, DP.
Yeah, really.
I'm sorry.
Ah.
It's dumping. And it's weird, there's almost like this gel coat that's being left behind in the groove here. You see that?
Yeah.
Look at it.
Is that just adhesive?
Weird. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it looks like it. I do have a new one here, and the plastic is sweaty, and I think that's because there's a little bit of like lube or something on here. I don't know.
Well, it's also 1,000% humid in the shop today. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Who knows? So the thing that freaked me out here is I just realized that I have the same part number for both sides.
Okay.
But Porsche, being clever, I think used just the same seal, and all they do is on this side you put it in this way, and on that side you just flip it around and use it this way.
Oh wow!
See
it's
that?
A reversible seal. Yeah.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
I'm doing some good thinking there. So the last item that I'm going to touch on is this damn screw. There's not much I can do here in terms of fixing this because I would just need to reupholster this, which means replacing everything. And I did think about that. There's actually a company out of Poland called Carbone, and they make amazing like RS door cards. They have just so many wicked things for air-cooled 911s. If you have one of those and you're looking for an interior, check them out. They have a lot of cool stuff, which I think eventually I'm going to do. But in the meantime, this is the solution here. I have this little cap, guys. See this? This is going to just go on here and, you know, look a little bit better rather than just a random screw run into the leather. And look at it. It needs to be... I gotta find the right spot where it went in, DP.
Yeah. No.
Oh.
Is that it?
No, look, what's going on here? Uh-oh.
Is that the same screw?
It's the same screw. It's the same long screw. I know it. Oh, look it's chopping it up. This means this is shifted a little bit or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's gotta go in there. There it is. Yeah. There it is. See, look, okay. You can see it just sucks it in a little bit. Not even that much. Like, who cares?
Oh, look at that.
Look though, look. Okay. That's it. It's better. Woo. It's better. It's not great, but now people aren't gonna see this sheet metal screw in there. So, you know, that might look OE until they look to the other side and don't see it. So that is it, guys. Like, the interior is essentially done here, and man, what a transformation seats make. I think you can see the pattern of the seats really goes well, I think, with the pattern of the door card. There is a bunch of like cloth around the car too, so it matches really well. And if you guys haven't noticed, the paint is starting to look good. DP has been busy.
That's right, fellas. Been cranking away on the paint here, and what we ended up doing after doing a bit of a test on the rear quarter was a two-step process. Normally we get a little lazy with our polishing. We do a one-step, but this paint had a lot of swirl marks in it, as you'll see. And it's by no means perfect, even though I have made 2 passes on it now. The first pass using Sonax's Cut Max, and as the name would apply, it is a 6 out of 6 on their cut scale and only a 3 out of 6 on their gloss scale. So this pass is really designed to take as much of those swirl marks and scratches and stuff out of the paint as I can without spending an inordinate amount of time on it. And then after that, I come in with the Perfect Finish, which is kind of the inverse, isn't it? It's a 4-cut 6 gloss, and really it's the gloss that we're going after with this. So I go with a much softer gray pad from Sonax with the Perfect Finish. The red pad is a harder pad, so it helps Cut Max do its job. It's a more aggressive pad. So with that said, I'm gonna just dive in here, but I should also show you this new tool we got from Milwaukee. This is a proper random orbital polisher, and we got the big boy setup with like their 6.0 high output battery. Of course, the advantage of this being cordless is that you don't have a cord over your shoulder and you're not dragging a cord around and sometimes maybe hitting the paint with the cord. The downside is it is a little bit heavier than a corded tool. So there is a trade-off there, but I think the ability to go away from a cord is always a handy thing. We certainly use a lot of Milwaukee cordless tools around here, and we don't find ourselves going back to the corded stuff very often, do we, Pete? So let me fire this guy up here and I'll show you, but actually maybe before I do that, why don't we just show you a little bit of the scratches and swirl marks and stuff on this fender so you can kind of get a before look at it, and then we'll show you how it looks afterward. All right, well, there's 2 passes, 1 cut max, 1 perfect finish, and it's certainly much glossier, and a lot of the surface imperfections are gone, but there is still plenty of deeper scratches and swirl marks
okay,
left in
DP,
there.
it's a good thing, because then I'm not going to worry about it too much.
It's true. You can still enjoy this car and not feel like you're harming a $20,000 paint job, which this certainly is not. However, to protect this paint, it really is pretty good for what Pete calls a Mako paint job. We are going to ceramic coat it with Sonax's Profiline kit. This is their professional hydrophobic coating, ceramic based, and it's, I think, a 3-step process if memory serves. It takes about an hour to do, and we're not going to show that to you. So let's just cut to this thing being ceramic coated, looking glossy and looking sexy.
Well, this thing has cleaned up extremely well. That Sonax ceramic coat just added that extra depth of shine, DP. Wow, it is looking so good, but it is missing some body work, which is what's gonna happen in the next episode, and that means this episode is a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are looking for ways to support us, there is a link in the description to Continental Tire. They are a massive supporter of our channel. They make builds like this possible. And in turn, if you support them, you do support us. So click that link, buy yourself a set of tires, or just go browse and see what they've got, because they have endless amounts of options. They've got amazing warranties. They've got so much great tire stuff. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.